Hello everyone! I'm jumping on just a tad bit early, but that's kind of my personality. So I'd rather be early to a party than late. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. My name is Lauren Hale, and I am so excited to be here, you guys, and to be a part of this artist opportunity. I'm super nervous, so bear with me. Hi, Desiree. I just get a little nervous with this kind of stuff. Every time I push the live button, I'm like, okay. So I'm gonna hope that as I continue, I won't be as nervous. But anyways, I'm so glad you guys are here today. There are some amazing women that are gonna be talking all day long, and it has already been so fun listening to Amber's story. I got goosebumps. Like, I just love hearing other people's stories and their journeys in life, because we all have a story and we all have experiences that have happened to us to make us the person we are today. So I'm so excited. Thank you, Chelsea, for asking me to be here and be able to share a little bit about why I became a mascara artist. So I'm going to start with telling you a little bit about myself and about my family, and then I'm going to rewind and kind of give you my backstory to where I'm at today. So my name, like I said, is Lauren. I'm 39 years old. I have 3 kids. I have a 13-year-old, an 11-year-old, and a 9-year-old. And as most moms are, we're super busy, right? So they are the loves of my life. Like Amber said, she said it so much more eloquently than I can say, but they are my life. So I do everything for them, with them learning to be independent, of course. So those are my children. I'm also a kindergarten teacher. I've been working in a private school for about 7 years now, and I'm a mascara artist. So hi, Mel. A bunch of the girls on my team are jumping on. You guys make me feel better that you're here. So I want to rewind into kind of my story, how I got here, because the facts I just gave you are facts about myself now. But obviously it's been a journey to get where I'm at. So I'm going to rewind. So I am from Idaho. Right now I'm in Pocatello, Idaho. I'm originally from Texas. Oh, thank you, Mel. I'm originally from Texas, and I grew up in Texas until about 4th grade. And then we moved to Boise, Idaho. And I'm in a family of 1 brother, so I have a very small family. And my family is from a mindset of what is supposed to happen is going to happen for you. So I'm kind of like, I always say I'm kind of from a hippie family a little bit, which people don't quite know that about me. But my parents have always taught me, like, whatever's going to come to you is going to come. And so as I start this conversation with you guys, I want you to know that that's always been my mindset. I believe that things come to you at the right times in life, whether they be good or maybe they may not be as good. So when I was in Texas, my dad, hi everyone, you guys are all so great for being here. When I was in Texas, my dad was a minister and a landscape architect. And he was a part of a huge firm. I'm going way back, so just be ready for this. Hi, Abby. He was part of a very, very successful firm in San Antonio, Texas. He was one of the head executives of this company, and they went bankrupt. So we had a lot of money, came from a lot of money to absolutely nothing. And my parents moved us to a smaller town in Texas, if you are familiar with a place called Marshall, Texas, where I was very much a minority there, and there's a lot of poverty there. It's on the border of Louisiana and Texas, for those of you that maybe don't know. So I grew up there. We had no money. We were given a house. I don't want to get emotional, so I don't know why I feel emotional, because it's really a big part of my journey. We were given a house. We were given a car. We had absolutely nothing. My dad went from a top executive to selling suits at Dillard's, and my mom homeschooled us because my mom's a teacher as well. And so we shopped at garage sales. We had beans and rice every day. We made our own tortillas, all of those things. And I look back at that time of my life, and it was one of the best times in my childhood. We had nothing, but we had everything. So my family, hi everyone, my family has always just been very critical, obviously, like most of us in our journey, but they were really all I've ever had. I didn't have a lot of friends growing up because we were looked at as kind of different. Like I said, we were a minority in the South at that point, and in this town. And so I had my brother, and we grew up together, and we found turtles on the side of the road, and found, oh my gosh, you guys, it's crazy. Like the life we lived, I wish I could explain it even better, but we would just spend all day long, outside exploring together, and so many great memories from that. So we, like I said, had no money. We were just given so much, and that's why I always say you never know those blessings. They come in disguises. So we were just at the right moments given the right things, and my parents never made it something that was like a negative experience for us. So I think when I look back, it was a great time in my life. And so anyways, my parents one day decided that they wanted to move to a different place. And that's my parents. That's why I say hippie a little bit, because I'm definitely the black sheep of the family, and the fact that I am very, very type A personality. So my parents always laugh at me for that. But they decided, literally they went their separate ways to decide where to move. They didn't want to talk about it, and they both came back with 3 places. And out of the 3 places that both of them came from, they both picked Boise, Idaho. Hi, Amber. And so we packed up our stuff, which wasn't very much stuff, like I said, because we really didn't own anything. And we went in a moving truck, and we drove for 4 days to get to Boise, Idaho. Now, mind you, my dad had no job. It was all on faith. And so we had never been to Boise. It was random. They wanted mountains. They wanted out of the South. And so we just picked up and moved. And I had been homeschooled. I hadn't really been in a school. So it was just kind of a lot. It was very different for us. So my dad, we moved there. My mom became a teacher there. And my dad found a landscape architect job. So I always say there's perfect timing in everything. And it really was for us. I started school there. I've never been a person who has a lot of girlfriends. I've just never been that person, and I'm going to get to that, because if you guys kind of saw what I'm going to be talking about, it's like I never needed a sisterhood. I didn't feel like I did, because I never had a lot of girlfriends. I came from a place where it wasn't, I just always had my family, and I didn't need anybody else, and I kind of learned that hard knock life a little bit because of my background. So I was never really treated nicely in school. Like I felt like I had friends, but I wasn't popular. I was made fun of a lot because I was always the smallest. I was like 4'11", and even in high school had to be on phone books to learn how to drive. So it just was never like, I never really looked for relationships. It just wasn't something I really needed. So anyways, okay, so I moved to Boise, Idaho. We still didn't have a lot of money, but we were slowly starting to get back from the bankruptcy and my dad's company falling apart and things like that. So fast forward to when I was 13. So when I was 13, I was in junior high, and back in the day, you just kind of like randomly chose an activity to do. And I had a math teacher who asked me to be on the tennis team. And so I was like, I don't even know what tennis is. He gave me a racket. I went out and I started playing, and I fell in love with the sport. And if you know anything about tennis, it's a very expensive sport, and it's not something that, if you don't have money, like we didn't, it's not something that you can easily just show up and play. I mean, you can show up and play on a public court, but if you really want to be good, you have to have a country club membership. Okay, so we didn't have money for that. So I picked up a racket, and I ended up winning our city tournament, which was this, out of everyone in the city, I took first place, which for having no experience starting at 13 was a huge deal. And I got a scholarship to a country club, and through that experience, I started playing tennis. And I got laughed at a lot because anyone that's in travel sports, or even back in the day, if you want to make it anywhere with sports, you have to start at 3 years old. I mean, it's just what it is. And here I am at 13, showing up not even in cool clothes like everyone else. I couldn't afford it. And at this country club that I couldn't afford, just being an odd duck out, and wanting to play because really it was just determination. And that's one thing with me is I'm very, very determined. And my goal I set for myself was that I would get a college scholarship, which is kind of laughable starting at 13. But I worked every single day for it, you guys. Like, I didn't have a high school experience because I didn't have time for friends. And the one or two friends that I had, it bugged them because I literally didn't have time for them. I had a goal. I was going to make that goal. So I would wake up in the morning before high school. I would play. And then I would go after school and I would play. And then I would work at the country club in order to afford the courts and the lessons that I needed to get where I was at. So fast forward, basically all my high school, I ended up winning state in doubles, which was a huge deal. And I got offered a full ride scholarship to Idaho State University, which I never thought would happen, you guys. So hard work pays off. And I tell my children that all the time. Because if you do know me, and this is a side story, if you do know me, my kids are very, very into sports. And people have, they think I'm crazy with what I do with my kids, but I also have been there. So I know like a little bit about that. So I ended up at Idaho State University. I left my little family, which was really hard for me because, like I said, I had nobody I was leaving in high school. Like, I know a lot of girls are like, oh, I was leaving my girlfriends. I was leaving my family. And Pocatello, Idaho is 3.5 hours from Boise, which doesn't seem that long, but it was. I'd never been away from my family. My parents were very protective. I had a curfew at like 9:30 in high school as a senior, so I came from like a very naive background to living by myself. So I played tennis in college and got my college paid for. I met my husband there. He was playing football, and we got set up on a blind date, and we ended up staying in Pocatello. And while I was at Idaho State University, I got my early childhood special ed degree for teaching. And as soon as I graduated, he was going to PA school, and so I kind of like made it work for us by working at a early intervention school here in town. And it was such an amazing opportunity. I worked with children of all needs, special needs, and I met amazing families. And I also saw a lot of hard things to handle because of some of the things the kids were dealing with. So I got pregnant about 4 years into teaching there, and I decided I had seen so many kids come to school that, didn't have a family unit. My mom stayed at home with me for a lot, and I also just realized, like, I really want to stay home with my kids. And I was able to, which was such a blessing. So, Taylor. So, okay, where was I at? So I stayed home. So I was getting ready to have my first child. Ended up having him. My husband was a month away from graduating for PA school. And this is where I don't want to get emotional. So a lot of you know this about me, but I had my first baby. Everything was fine. 2 days in, I just got this feeling, and this is why I always say, listen to your heart. And like I've said this whole time today, he wasn't eating, and my husband and I were like, something's not right. And so we literally immediately listened to that gut instinct, and we went to the hospital. By the time we got in the hospital, he was blue. His oxygen was to 60%, and he had lost blood flow from his hips down. And so they life flighted him to Primary Children's, which is in Utah, and without even telling us. And they told us that something was going on with his heart, but they didn't know what it was. And so at 2 days old, my first child, I have to drive to Utah while they've life flighted him there. It was literally like we grabbed everything out of our house as quick as we could. We didn't know what was even going on, and we drove there. And when I got there, they told me that he was missing a link in his heart, and he had a bunch of holes in his heart. And they didn't know if he was going to make it. And at that point, his kidneys had shut down. And so, yeah, I'm sure you can imagine, like, as a first-time mom, or just a mom in general, that your babies are everything, and this is what is going on. It was hard to deal with. And so my husband and I lived at Primaries for a month, and they did open heart surgery on him, and they fixed his heart. And during that time, I felt really alone. I felt really isolated. I felt I had a lot of people reaching out, but it was almost like a depression time because you just didn't know what was going to happen. And although I feel like I've gone through my whole life being okay with whatever the journey takes me, that was really hard. I couldn't control, and I have a very hard time with that. So we lived at Primaries for a month, and then he was released. And I was blessed enough that my husband could, you know, make a good income that I could stay home. And so I stayed home with him. I am proud to report he is doing amazing. He is able to do sports, things that we never thought he could do. He's had no problems, which is amazing. So that was a really hard time in my life, though, for sure. But it's also such a blessing when I look back because I learned so much about myself. And I think through a journey, any journey that you have, you're learning about yourself and how you handle that situation or the situations you go into. It makes you a stronger person. So for me, that was, it was, like I said, it was really rough for my husband and I, and obviously like being in that situation, but we learned a lot through there, and I definitely grew as a person, but I became stronger in my need of, I don't need anyone. I've got my baby and I can do it myself. And so then I had 2 other kids. In the matter of 7 years, I stayed home. And during that time staying home, it was the best experience I could ever imagine. I would never take it back. But it was also one of the most lonely times in my life because I didn't have anyone. I mean, my family lived away. I just didn't have anyone, and it was a really hard time, but I kind of tried to build my community to help me, but I was pretty much alone. My husband works really long hours. So it was hard for me, and I did a lot of random type things. I learned how to sew. I think I'm not a home person, like I don't know how to cook. I don't do any of that stuff, but I became really good at it when I stayed at home with my kids. And so it was interesting, but it was seriously a very, very lonely time in my life. And during this time, I am getting to my mascara journey. I promise. I'm so sorry, guys. This is kind of long. During this time, I went and started watching. This was back in the day when like YouTube started to be really big, and I would watch these YouTube videos. And I am a super cheap and frugal person, and so I would always watch the dupes because I wouldn't pay for like Mac or anything like that at the time. And so I would watch the dupes of drugstore dupes, and I would convince my girlfriends that they needed it. And we would go out and we would purchase all of these drugstore finds. And it was funny. I mean, I look back and I'm like, okay, I think we could have bought Mac with what we bought at the drugstore. So I started getting interested in makeup. Let me preface, I was super tomboy. Did not wear makeup till I was 25 years old. Not into any of that. Didn't do my hair. It drove my mom nuts. So I got into that when I started staying at home, and I had some time to kind of like research it a little bit. So started getting into makeup. I've always enjoyed makeup. But I got very frustrated. I'll come back to that. So after I stayed at home for 7 years, I then got a job where I'm currently at, which is a kindergarten teacher at a private school. And I took that job because my kids could be with me, and that it's been such a blessing with that. But through it all, it's kind of been like kind of an isolated journey. I've met people that I really connect with, but then I haven't met a lot of people I connect with, if that makes sense. So I have a small group of girlfriends that I feel like are obviously my best friends. We all have that, I think. But I didn't feel like I could relate to a lot of people, and I still at that point I've always had a wall where I don't need anyone. So anyways, like I said, started watching makeup videos, getting really into that, but I would start going to Ulta, and I'd go to like Sephora, and I'd pick out all these different products, and I would hope it would work for my skin, and it didn't. And I had really dry skin and really red skin. And so I just got really frustrated, and I would go to Ulta, I'd put on the makeup, think I look great, and then I'd go home and I'd be like, whoa, this is not working for me. So I stumbled upon mascara. I had watched Chelsea for, probably a year. And I decided I'm just gonna go have her do my makeup. So I show up, have her do my makeup. You guys, I was like, this is the best makeup I've ever tried. And if I find something that helps me, I feel like it's my duty, and maybe it's a teaching thing where I need to share it with everyone. And so that's what I did. And it literally changed my skin. So of course I'm gonna tell everyone and their dog about this makeup, because it is, if I needed to hear it, I feel like other people needed to hear it. So I did that. I used it for about 8 months, and I kept watching all these things, and you see it if you follow me on Instagram, about the artist opportunity. And I was like, I am not one of those people. I have never done any kind of direct marketing. I have never sold anything. And I was like, that's not for me. And I kept telling myself, that's not for me, that's not for me. But I just felt like as a teacher, and some of us on here are teachers, you cannot make a better income once you're a teacher. You can go get your master's, you can make a little bit more, but you just really don't have the choice. You can't really make your salary that much larger. And although I didn't need that because of my husband, it was something that I wanted to do to contribute to my family. I felt like, gosh, my husband's working 60 plus hours a week to make this income, and I can't help because my income is nothing. And so I just kept feeling like there was something I needed, something I could do to help my family. And so I finally was like, I'm just gonna go look into this. So I met with Chelsea for like 3 hours. She probably was like so annoyed by me. But she was so patient with me and took the time to really talk to me. And she was like, what is the worst thing that can happen? And I will never forget that. Because honestly, what is the worst thing that can happen? You can change your life, or you have some amazing makeup, some extra makeup, right? I mean, like, the worst thing that could happen, there's no worst thing that can happen. And so I jumped in full force. Like I said, no background in sales at all. Didn't know what I was doing. Luckily, Maskcara has some amazing trainings. I have a great leader that has helped me, but I just I didn't want to share my life with other people. I was scared of that. I thought, what are people going to think? I have no experience with makeup except for doing my own makeup. And what are people going to think of me? I'm such a people pleaser. Like, I'm so worried about this, and I have to open my life, and how many videos do I have to do? All these things, right? Chelsea, yes, that was a great 3-hour lunch that I'm glad you were patient with me. So I decided to jump in full force. And the best thing about Maskcara, and I tell everyone this, is that it's your business. You can work it however you want. And as a teacher, I love teaching people and I love sharing with them. And so for me, my outreach is to do tutorials, to use my Instagram and to use my Facebook for that. And through that, you guys, I'm going to get into the sisterhood, I promise. I've made a sisterhood, and I didn't think I needed it at all. I didn't think I needed people in my life. I've always been fine on my own. I've been hurt by girls so many times, which I'm sure many of you can relate to. I've been bullied by girls because of how I looked or because of the choices I was making, and I didn't trust people. And so this whole thing to jump in and share my life with other people was super scary. It was probably the scariest thing I've done besides watching my child, be in a hospital. It was scary, but I did it and I jumped in full force, and I can't even tell you how much it's changed my life. I'm able to go part-time this year teaching. I'm able to be with my kids all the time. I'm on the go 24/7 because my kids are in so many sports. I'm literally on the road all the time. You can ask any of the girls on my team, and I'm always on the road, and I'm moving. But guess what? I can work from my phone. I've met amazing customers, people who have changed my life more than they even know. And it's amazing to make other women feel beautiful and confident, because that is probably the best thing about this, is that you're changing people. I know makeup seems like not that big of a deal that you're changing people, but you're changing people. Like, you're seeing, like Amber said it this morning, you're seeing the beauty in other people. And when you see the beauty in other people, they see the beauty in themselves, because everyone is beautiful. And so I've gained so much confidence through this opportunity. My sisterhood, I have a team that just kept growing and growing and growing. It's like 40 girls now, you guys, and we talk every day. I know these girls have my back. I can call them when I have a problem. I can call them just to laugh. I mean, it's been the most amazing thing, and it makes me like tear up, because my team is such a positive place for me. I didn't know I needed it. I didn't know I needed girls in my life. I've never had that before. I've never had people really be true and really care about me. I mean, that sounds really cliche, but I didn't ever have people that really cared and had my back. And I feel that with these girls on this team. I feel like that they genuinely are there for me. So it's just been amazing. And I've built a community around myself that uplifts me every single day. And so just saying yes to Maskcara has made all these opportunities for my life. And if I hadn't said yes, I wouldn't be here. And if I didn't share this with you guys, you wouldn't hear this opportunity and you wouldn't maybe even think about it. So anyways, I am so sorry. This has been so long. But I just wanted you guys to know that what you see in somebody just by watching them on social media isn't their backstory. And all of us here today have a story. And so I'm excited that you guys get to hear it, all of us, see where we've come from, and just know that it's not always what it looks like. Everyone has a backstory, and Maskcara has really changed my life. It's changed my family's life, and it's literally just been the best decision of my life. And I know Chelsea would think back to our 3-hour conversation and all my fears, and letting go of those fears opened a whole new world for me. So anyways, thank you guys. Sorry if I was rambling and I'm here forever, but Taylor is next at noon, and you guys, she is amazing. One of the smartest girls I know. I just love her so much. So tune in for that, and thank you for spending some time with me today, and we'll talk to you guys later. See ya.